Well, welcome back to Living Local. Time now to check in with Movie Mike for what's new in theaters. Mike Schulz, arts editor for the River Cedars Reader, joins us now for a review, some new movies already out in theaters, and preview of ones opening this weekend. Mike, thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure.
All right,
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the movies already out.
Yes.
We'll start with one that you liked, of course, and I'm sure most people either are going to like or already have, Rocketman, the Elton John biopic, or whatever you want to call it.
Man, what fun. What fun. I was really looking forward to this because I'm a huge Elton John fan.
And it met expectations.
Anyway, yes, indeed. It absolutely did. It is the life story of Elton John, covering basically the 1970s period for the most part, and leading up to his going into rehab and then having his comeback after that. What I did not expect about this movie, because it's coming on the heels of Bohemian Rhapsody, of course, which was all lip sync music, though. Rami Malek won an Oscar, but it's all actually Queen's music. This one has Taron Egerton, who plays Elton John, doing his own singing, which I knew about, and that's cool, and he's wonderful. But everybody in the movie pretty much sings at some point too, and so you'll be hearing things like Tiny Dancer, and you'll be hearing Your Song being sung not only by Taron Egerton playing Elton John, but by his mother, his father, his grandmother, his boss, random people on the street. And so it's kind of like a biography of Elton John as a musical, as a literal musical, with kind of like Moulin Rouge from about 18 years ago. And so it kind of repurposes songs. They have different arrangements than you're used to. So whereas Bohemian Rhapsody you could sing along, and people did when I was at the theater, you know, this one you can't. You really have to kind of listen to it, and it makes you reappreciate Elton John's music in a completely new and novel way. I was really surprised by it. It was a blast.
And definitely worth your time then.
For sure. And the costumes, of course, as you can imagine, are amazing.
Yes. Elton John is all over the place.
It was great. Great time.
All right, great time there. Not so great time with this next one, Godzilla, another Godzilla movie. Actually, when I was looking this up, they spent $170 million on this movie.
Of course they did. Yes, naturally.
Money well spent.
What I'm not sure. And when I wrote my review of this too, I was like, "What do you want to know?" I mean, is it going to be big and loud? Yes, of course it is. Is it going to be 2.5 hours? Of course it is. You know.
Is there a plot? Maybe.
Kind of. Yeah. You have Kyle Chandler and Vera Farmiga play ex-spouses. One is saying that we have to destroy the monsters, and the other is saying, no, the monsters are here to protect us and kind of save the earth. And so they fight a lot, and then the monsters fight a lot. And that's pretty much it. And it also does a thing that drives me crazy in these kind of blockbuster monster movies, is that all the fights between the monsters take place in rain and cloud cover, and so you can't really see exactly what's going on there. It's a trick to help kind of disguise iffy effects, and they use it
the
a
CGI
lot.
And all that.
Oh my gosh! Every scene you could go to the restroom or the concession stand and not miss a thing. It just kept going. It's got good people in it, which is, I mean, helpful. Chandler's great. For Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things has a major role in it, and you know, so it's watchable enough, I guess, but also enough. I'm tired.
If you know what you're getting into, you'll probably be okay.
You'll probably have a great time, and it's all leading towards King Kong versus Godzilla next year, naturally. So I guess you have to see this one to enjoy that one.
Looking forward to that. On the horror movie side of things, somebody who's not usually in horror movies a lot, Octavia Spencer is in Ma.
And Octavia Spencer is fantastic in Ma. Yeah, this has a really juicy premise. This is about a former high school nerd who gets asked by who's now in her 40s. She gets asked by a bunch of teenagers to buy them some booze so they can hang out and stuff. She reluctantly does it. It goes rather well. They ask her again. She says, you know, I've got a basement that you could just use and party there. So the kids start going over to her house, and she becomes the life of the party the way she never was in high school. But these being high school kids, they get over her pretty quickly. She starts acting a little strange and clingy, and then they leave. And that's when you realize that Octavia Spencer's character is a bit of a psychopath. And so she starts getting retaliation for being dissed. Fun setup. Now, the problem is, if it had been left at that, that would have been great. But it turns into, now it gets convoluted with all of the kids' parents, who all kind of coincidentally went to high school with Octavia Spencer. And so you don't know if she's trying to get revenge on the kids or on the parents. And the whole issue kind of gets confused, and it starts feeling like scenes are missing. One scene won't lead sensibly to the next scene. It feels like a half hour of the movie just kind of got cut, and they forgot to put footage back in. It's really disappointing, and Octavia Spencer, thankfully, is great in it. So watchable for her.
Watch for her.
But that's the only reason, really.
All right.
So yeah.
Some good, some bad.
Exactly
there.
right.
Let's talk about movies opening this weekend now. Animated side of things, a sequel, Secret Life of Pets. They made another one.
They did indeed. Yeah, well, the first one was charming. It was really great. This one is basically more of the same. For those who remember, The Secret Life of Pets was all about what your cats and your dogs and your bunnies and all that stuff do when you're at work or you're at school. And so this, again, follows the adventures of a puppy dog named Max, who was voiced by Louis C.K. back in the day and now is voiced by Patton Oswalt. And it's about his owner now has a baby of her own. And so Max becomes very protective of the baby. That's one subplot. We also have another one with Kevin Hart's rabbit, who's a really hyperactive rabbit. Surprise, surprise. Yes. And there's also a subplot in which Max goes to a farm, not in the, kind of...
Yes, not that way.
Not that way, but actually goes to a real farm and runs into a sheepdog voiced by Harrison Ford.
There we go.
I can hear it in my head.
Yeah, Harrison Ford could be a rough old border collie or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, it's perfect. And it's got fun voices in there. Ellie Kemper, Tiffany Haddish, who's always great. Eric Stonestreet from Modern Family is in there. Charming vocal cast, and the first one moved really quickly. It was totally enjoyable.
There you go.
Yeah, crossing fingers.
If you like the first one, you'll probably be okay with this one as well. Either way.
That's my guess. And it's something to watch while we wait for Toy Story 4.
There you go. Yes, that'll probably be emotional.
Yeah.
All right. It's not a weekend unless we probably have a Marvel movie opening of some kind.
It's about time.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix this time.
Dark Phoenix, indeed. This is number 7, if you can believe it, in the X-Men cycle. It's been going on since 2000. It's also a remake of an X-Men movie from 2006, The Last Stand. It's basically a kind of a loose remake. This one focuses mostly on Jean Grey, who is a telekinetic, who is being played by Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones. She has incredible telekinetic abilities, but goes into space on a mission and kind of is engulfed by all this bad energy, and she starts turning into villainous version of herself. And so it becomes a battle between the X-Men wanting to fight for the good of her soul and the bad mutants led by Magneto wanting to use her for evil instead. And all the usual suspects are back. You got James McAvoy again as Professor X, and Michael Fassbender back as Magneto. Jennifer Lawrence is back as Mystique, and Nicholas Hoult as Beast. Exactly, and it's Quicksilver. Evan Peters, who's one of my favorite characters in that series, is back. And so this is the wrap up. Apparently, this is the last one with these characters. So in the same year we end Avengers, we're ending X-Men, we're ending Star Wars. It's a strange year.
We're going to have to find new things to make
maybe we should
about.
Like read a book or something. I don't know.
Whoa.
I'm not going that far. Come on,
Change to book reviews. All right. So last of all here, we're changing things over to a documentary this time. The Biggest Little Farm. Interesting premise, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Some counter-programming, too, to all the sequels that are out there, which is great. This is a documentary about a couple in Southern California who get kicked out of their apartment because their dog is barking too much. And so they say, all right, we're going to go out to the country. And they buy 200 acres of rural farmland, really dead and barren farmland, too. And the documentary, which is made by John Chester, who is the gentleman who bought the farmland with his wife, Molly. It covers 8 years in their lives of starting this farm from nothing and turning it into this kind of beautiful rural utopia that has more than 200 different crops. It has all sorts of fruit orchards. It has dozens of different animals that normally shouldn't be living in harmony and wind up living in harmony. And it shows the 8-year process it took to kind of turn this place into something pretty magical. And looking at those, look at those images.
Yeah, I think
crazy.
The visuals enough. How do you, like cracking an egg and somehow it looks masterful.
It's unbelievable. And the idea that this gentleman basically just picked up a camera and said, okay, honey, you want to make some home movies? It looks like like this?
See,
wow.
Documentaries that like these, they just amaze me, especially the time that they get put into them a lot of times.
For sure.
8 years, right?
8 years, and then you think how long it would take to edit that on top of it and then get it released. But it's making a lot of money for a movie of its type, and it's winning awards at film festivals all over the place. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
All right, there you go. Well, we've got a lot of variety as always. Mike, thanks for coming in.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.
All right, in review, new movies coming out this week are Secret Life of Pets 2, Dark Phoenix, and The Biggest Little Farm. And of course, you can always read Mike's movie reviews inside the latest River Cities Reader on stands everywhere and online at rcreader.com. Always, for more information on today's movies, you can head over to our website, ourquadcities.com. We will be right back with more Living Local.